Wow, I cannot believe you just assumed I thought Sonic 2 was bad because of the title of this video. Unbelievable. I'll have you know, I thought the movie was super fun. Maybe that'll teach you to make assumptions based on the things I write explicitly in the titles of my video. For real though, I had a blast with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Though admittedly, I'm not a Sonic diehard by any means. As a kid, I played Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, but never really beat any of them. I did beat Sonic Adventure DX and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for the GameCube, plus Sonic Rush on the DS, I think? So I'm, as some may describe, a filthy casual. But I have seen pretty much every Cybershell video, so that basically makes me an expert. And let me tell you, after Sonic 2, I might be more interested in this franchise than I ever have been before. Let me explain. Right after I talk about today's sponsor, Surfshark. Surfshark VPN is a super cool and helpful tool that can protect your information from data thieves and secure your online life. On top of that, Surfshark can help you unlock tons of content on streaming services like Netflix by logging in through a different country. So if you've run out of cartoons to watch on the US's Netflix library, no sweat, try out Australia or Japan. You can find shows like Rick and Morty, Archer, Close Enough, and more. One subscription gives you access to Surfshark on unlimited devices, so you can load it up on your PC, phone, tablet, Mac, you name it. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's plenty of time to make sure Surfshark is right for you. I've even got a special offer code for you that will get you 83% off and 3 extra months on top of that for free. Just go to the link in the description of this video and enter the promo code Cellos to get this awesome offer. Before we dive into Sonic 2 and spoiler territory, let me talk about the first film. I actually watched it for the first time this week, just a couple days before seeing Sonic 2. So let me start with what I did like about it. I loved all that product placement.
Olive Garden. Apartments for rent I found on Zillow.
Make his a mellow yellow, please.
Okay, but for real, the thing that stuck out to me most about Sonic the Hedgehog's first movie was Sonic himself. Ben Schwartz was an absolute perfect casting choice. He brings such a comedic warmth to the role, and I honestly think he's my favorite version of Sonic. There are some incredibly charming and earnest moments sprinkled throughout the film that won me over, even though overall, it didn't quite work for me. I think my biggest issue with Sonic is the fact that they opted for a real-world setting. I get that they're doing the fish out of water thing. It even feels like they're going for a Paddington-type found family aspect with Sonic becoming Tom and Maddie's adoptive kid. Heck, they even give him a room in the attic, just like our favorite bear. And though I think this is a valid direction if you're going live action, I also think that both of these movies really sing when they feel more like a cartoon than they do a live action film. Sadly, the first movie's humor really fell flat for me as well. I hate to be that guy, but I roll my eyes every time they call Tom the Donut Lord.
You're the only person I could think of, Donut Lord.
Why do you keep calling me Donut Lord?
Because you talk to donuts.
I just found myself groaning at the gags a lot, but also, it's easy to forget that kids will absolutely eat that stuff up, so it's not necessarily for me. Alright, here's something that I'm definitely in the minority on. I didn't love Jim Carrey being cast as Robotnik in the first film.
I was not expecting that.
I just don't see Robotnik/Eggman in this character at all. I see Jim Carrey in an Eggman cosplay, which admittedly works great for a lot of people, so I'm not trying to paint my opinion as an objective truth, but it was hard for me to see the two entities as the same character, though as I'll reveal soon, he kinda won me over in the sequel. But overall, the film was filled with a genuine warmth that I really appreciated, particularly from Sonic himself. The core of the film is obviously Sonic the Hedgehog. He's the most important aspect, and he's also the aspect that they executed perfectly. The scene where he's playing baseball all alone, illustrating his isolation and loneliness in a world that he feels won't accept him, it's really great. The way he starts to connect with the people he's admired from afar, like his night out with Tom, or when JoJo gives him his iconic shoes, that stuff works like gangbusters, and there are really cute comedic moments with this energy filled throughout.
Stop! That is very gross.
So, going into Sonic 2, I had some qualms with the way the first film was executed, and I have to say, the sequel really ramped up what worked for me and toned down what didn't. That charm and the earnest, heart-filled moments were consistent throughout Sonic 2. So many scenes felt like they were fully leaning into the cartoony nature of Sonic. There were even aspects from the first film that I didn't like that won me over a bit. But I think best of all, I could tell that this film was made for Sonic fans. I'll get into my theater experience later, but this is where we're going to get into spoiler territory for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, so if you want to go in fresh, pause and come back after you've seen it.
later.
Okay, you still here? So, pretty much right off the bat, Sonic 2 feels way more like a cartoon than its predecessor, which is 100% a good thing. Like I said, I think these things really truck when they're not trying to exist in our reality. We open up on the Mushroom Planet where Robotnik had been jettisoned at the end of the first film. This sequence is really cool, really interestingly animated, I just love the visuals, but it also ends with the introduction of Knuckles, and it's honestly a really great moment. I wasn't sold on Idris Elba being cast as the Red Echidna, but he really brings a lot of gravitas to the role. He actually kind of gives off Thor energy from the first Thor movie, if you remember how he acted in that film. His entire existence has just been built on this warrior culture, and so human customs barely compute. But this was a great opening, and it pretty immediately got me invested in the story. In fact, I think the absolute highlight of this film in general was its introduction of Sonic characters. Not only did I adore Tails, but I actually came around on Carrie as Robotnik this time. Giving him the more iconic mustache and full red outfit helped a lot, but I also think surrounding him with the more animated and non-live actiony sets made him feel like a cartoon character. I mean, it helps that Jim Carrey is basically a human cartoon, but seeing him just fully fly around in the Eggmobile while literally everything else in the scene felt like it could have been in a Sonic game, it works wonders. But Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are the heart of this film. They still sort of shoehorn in Sonic's relationship to the humans, and I get why they went that way, but it didn't work nearly as well as the trio's eventual team-up, at least for me. It was incredibly smart to frame Knuckles' tragic origin around the same events of Sonic's tragic origin. There's an incredible heartfelt moment, one of many, where Sonic proclaims that they both lost everything that day. It's the first moment that Sonic gets through to Knuckles, and you can really feel it. In fact, the more that I think about it, the more I realize that every single one of my favorite moments in this film were earnest moments of connection between Sonic characters. There's this goofy and fun dance battle in a Siberian bar, but afterwards, Sonic and Tails have this wonderful moment where Tails realizes that he's become Sonic's friend and gives him a huge hug. Tails falls asleep by the fire, Sonic throws a blanket over him and lays down, and Tails throws his tails over Sonic like a blanket in return. It absolutely melted my heart. Just inject that directly into my veins. Another of my favorite moments comes at the end of the second act. Robotnik eventually captures the Master Emerald, and Sonic and Knuckles save each other's lives in succession. They have a really touching heart-to-heart about being a hero that leads to their eventual team-up, and it all ties to Sonic's arc and realization that being a hero isn't about the glory, it's about the responsibility. This absolutely worked great for me. Seeing the two characters connect on this primal level, it was great. Personally, I really hope the franchise leans into these relationships moving forward because it's the lifeblood of the films, at least for me. Like, I really don't have a particularly strong connection to Sonic or Tails or the franchise as a whole, but when Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles finally formed their little triumvirate, I genuinely teared up. I was shocked that it moved me so effectively. And this kind of leads me back to my initial complaints about the first movie. All of the stuff that's super divorced from the real world works great. The animated Sonic characters, their journeys and arcs. I was hoping we would see more of these other planets like the Mushroom World in the opening. One of the best sequences in the first film is just the opening, set in the fully animated Sonic Island. And while this movie doesn't entirely divorce itself from the real-world settings, there are way more locations that feel otherworldly, even still on Earth. There's a chunk of the movie set in Siberia, where the only live-action element is Jim Carrey. The stuff in the Labyrinth world on the way to the Master Emerald, it looked so good. I want more of that. And thankfully, though the climax does take place back in real-world Montana, there are so many bonkers video game-like elements that it really doesn't feel like it's in the real world. Robotnik uses the Master Emerald to create the giant Death Egg robot, and man, this stuff was just so damn fun. Like, can you imagine if they had tried to go with a more realistic look for this giant robot? It would have fallen into that trap that the first film did with their more realistic take on Sonic. We honestly might even have the fans themselves to thank for their incredible faithfulness to the original Sonic aesthetic, because after the studio was successfully bullied into fixing Sonic's design, we got nothing but really great looking stuff from a design standpoint in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Which brings me to my final point. This movie really feels like it's made for the fans. I enjoyed myself immensely, but I was actually sitting in an early screening with a ton of Sonic diehards, and let me tell you, the way they cheered was inspiring. There's a moment where Sonic is underwater and he sucks in an air bubble to breathe, an homage to the mechanic in the original games where you have to consume air bubbles to stay underwater. And let me tell you, my crowd went berserk just for that little Easter egg, that tiny reference. So I think you can imagine how they reacted to some of the bigger surprises. The biggest in the film obviously being when Sonic absorbs the Chaos Emeralds and becomes Super Sonic. I was almost more excited by my audience than I was the movie. It was a great moment in the film, but made greater seeing how much joy it brought the fans of the franchise. And folks, when that post-credit scene revealed Shadow the Hedgehog, my audience truly exploded. I have never been in an audience with that big of a reaction. Not in a Star Wars, not in an MCU film, nothing. They went absolutely nuts. I actually kind of just sat back and watched the crowd. It was really something to behold. I was just happy for them. I'm so glad I chose to go to one of these early access events because I really got to see how much passion these fans have, and it kind of gave me FOMO, to be honest. Like, it made me wish I loved Sonic as much as these people did, and truthfully, I think I like Sonic more than I ever have after this movie, and I might even give some other games and cartoons in the franchise a try. After the film, we were lucky enough to have surprise guests pop in and talk about the film, including director Jeff Fowler, some of the writers and producers, and even Colleen O'Shaughnessy, and I'm so glad that they got to experience the joy that they brought this fan base, because that has to be an amazing feeling, to know you properly captured the core of this series and have pleased the most rabid of fan bases. Overall, I had a really unparalleled experience watching Sonic the Hedgehog 2, made significantly better by being able to experience it through the eyes of a fan base that had been waiting for this for so long. I have qualms with the movie, I still think it floundered comedically, and I don't love all of the live action elements, but it was an undeniably fun time, and it made me appreciate the Blue Hedgehog on a level I never have. So before you go, comment below what your favorite piece of Sonic media is, and let me know what games or cartoons I should dive into to start exploring this guy more. Alright, peace.
Johnny! Two cellos!